NXT this week was so fun. It was so entertaining to watch. This show was complete and utter chaos. And this TNA versus NXT invasion segment, this invasion angle, is getting so much more fun. It was heating up this week without a doubt. We kicked off with TNA versus NXT. We kicked off with a huge brawl. We ended with a huge brawl. This is so fun to watch. And I'm telling you, this TNA versus NXT thing, whoever came up with this idea is a genius, okay? They need to be kissed on the forehead or something. This is the most fun I've had watching wrestling in a while. In a minute, this TNA versus NXT thing is so entertaining. And I'm telling you, we kicked off with a brawl, ended with a brawl. It was just straight chaos. And these TNA boys and girls, these NXT boys and girls, these TNA, NXT superstars, they could not be separated for the life of them. They were just tearing at each other, trying to prove who's the biggest brand, who's the official brand, who's the real brand. And Santino Marella himself, he said it best. This isn't an invasion. It's more so a showcase. It's a showdown. This was so fun. NXT was so energetic and the TNA stuff made it so entertaining. But before we get into all that, though, we have to break down this episode first. And before we break down the episode, we got to talk about the quote of the day, okay? So let's just get right into this quote of the day. Quote of the day. Sometimes the winds of change feel like they'll knock you over, but even the strongest gusts teach your roots to grow deeper, your branches to reach higher, and your heart to trust the sky. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 29. That is your quote of the day. Now let's get right into this video. Now, to kick off NXT, we started off with an in-ring promo from the Revolution himself, the new NXT champion, Ricky Saints. So Ricky Saints basically came out and he was kind of celebrating, but not really. He was being more so sentimental than cocky. I thought that was the vibe or the energy he would be on, but to my surprise, to my chagrin, he was all humble. He was just sentimental, enjoying the moment. I was kind of thrown aback. Anyways, though, the new NXT champion, Ricky Saints, came out and he was basically talking about how he had to put down the NXT champion, the former NXT champion. He had to put down Obafemi at No Mercy, and he said he was going to do that, and he did just that. Ricky Saints also brings up the fact that the fans have been with him every step along the way, every path, every turn, every road bump, every stop. The fans have been along with him every part of this journey, and he's so grateful for it. And this path wasn't easy, but Ricky Saints had no other choice but to bet on himself. And betting on himself led him to where he is today, the NXT champion. And out of nowhere, Ricky Saints gets interrupted by JC Jane. And I'm like, what's this about? And basically, JC Jane came out and she was talking to Ricky Saints saying, Ricky, I'm so happy for you, but we have bigger things to worry about. We have bigger fish to fry. We have this TNA invasion to worry about. So I'm happy that you're the new NXT champion now, but we have to shift our focus. We got to think about the bigger picture now. And after JC Jane says this, she gets interrupted by the NXT GM, Ava. And Ava basically announces that both JC Jane and Ricky Saints will be respectively captains. So JC Jane will be the captain of the women's team and Ricky Saints will be the captain of the men's team for NXT. So they need to work together and form an NXT women's team and an NXT men's team for the showdown next week. And the showdown is actually happening next week. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but it's going to be next week on NXT. I thought it was going to be a PLE or something, but it's actually just going to be an episode of NXT, which is pretty cool. But anyhow, though, after Ava announces this, the myth, the legend, the man, the Cobra himself, Santino Marella, ended up coming out, and he says that he'll be letting his team captains create their own team as well, just like Ava's doing. And he announces that his team captains will be Mike Santana for the men's TNA team and Kalani Jordan for the TNA women's team. And I thought it was pretty funny having Kalani Jordan come out because she literally won the TNA women's knockout championship like 2 days ago. I'm like, Jesus, she's already the captain of your brand. That was so funny to me. And then she was acting all involved. She's like, I'm here to defend TNA. I'm like, you just got there. Calm it down. You don't even know what this beef is about yet, for real. You don't even know what this rivalry is about. Calm down. Listen to him. It's like she came in and she inherited the beef. She inherited the drama. And I'm like, Jesus, it's barely been 2 days and you're acting like you've been here since day one. And you feel disrespected by NXT. I'm like, you are just on this brand. And the crowd was chanting traitor the whole night. They were chanting how they were being betrayed by Kalani Jordan. It was the funniest thing. But anyhow, though, Santino Marella went on to explain why the team captain for the men's team was not Trick Williams. You know, Trick Williams is currently holding the men's TNA Knockout Championship. And Santino Marella went on to say that I can't trust Trick Williams. Even though he's the TNA Men's Knockout Champion, I can't trust him. You can't trust someone with the name Trick. He's obviously going to be up to no good. So that was pretty funny. Santino Marella went on to say, this isn't an invasion. no, this isn't an invasion. It's just a showcase or a showdown, if you will. And that was pretty cool. That was a pretty fun opener. And I enjoyed seeing all the TNA faces and the talent. And even throughout the show, we got matches involving TNA superstars, which was pretty cool. We saw even more faces. We saw Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder. We saw the Iconics. If you remember that team, oh my God, so fun. We saw the Iconics. I don't know if I hit that correctly, but they used to do that. I can't hit it, but yeah, the Iconics, and we saw so many other faces. It was so fun. We saw Mustafa Ali, we saw Cedric Alexander, we saw so many other faces. It was so fun throughout this show, just seeing all the new faces, the old faces, the cameos. It was so fun. But anyhow, though, after this opening promo segment, we got to our first match of the night, and it was Miss Parker, Jada Parker versus Lash Legend. And these two absolutely went at each other. Jesus Christ. There was nothing pretty or nice about this match. They just went straight at each other. They were out for vengeance. They were out for blood. It was straight hands and receipts throughout this match. These two stars were just trying to get their get back. And this was such a aggressive match. I don't even know what to describe it as, but these two were just out for blood. The match overall, though, was pretty good. It was pretty entertaining. And these stars, both of them did well in ring. And I enjoyed this match. But anyways, though, at the end of the match, to my surprise, Miss Parker, Jada Parker, was able to hit her finisher, the Hypnotic, on Lash Legend for the win. And I was kind of shocked. I didn't think that Jada Parker was going to be able to put away Lash Legend. I thought, Lash Legend being the bigger competitor, stronger, more, I guess, aggressive in a way. I thought she was going to pick up the win. I thought she was going to dominate Jada Parker, but nope. Jada Parker, Miss Parker, she came out and she said, I'm not going to let anybody boss me around. I'm not going to let anybody push me around. If you want these problems, come get it. Just straight hands. And, she stood 10 toes down and she defended herself and she came out with the win. So she looks even more dominant now, which is, amazing. And it's fun. She's developing as a star even more. And I'm happy for her. But anyhow, after this match, we got a pretty funny backstage segment. And it was where Trick Williams was basically in the men's locker room and he was announcing himself as the co-captain of the NXT team. It was really funny. And Trick Williams, he's getting so much more entertaining show by show, day by day. And I'm enjoying every time I see him on my screen. So Trick Williams was basically in the men's locker room and he was talking to Ricky Saints saying that I'm the co-captain and we need to make big changes. We need to choose a solid team. And Ricky Saints is like, slow your roll. Who said you were the men's co-captain? I haven't even decided that yet. But after much convincing, Ricky Saints finally, he was like, whatever, you could be co-captain. So that was pretty cool. And I'm happy that Trick Williams is actually on the NXT team. I thought he for sure would have been on the TNA team. He's going to be like, forget NXT. But nope, it's pretty cool seeing him on the NXT team. And I'm pretty sure, I'm thinking there might be like a backstab somewhere, either from Kalani Jordan or Trick Williams. I don't know. I'm thinking something like that might happen at Showdown next week. I'm speculating. But anyhow, though, this backstage segment was pretty fun. It was pretty entertaining, in my opinion. I found it pretty funny. But after this, we got an in-ring promo from All Ego, Ethan Page. And he was out there basically verbally attacking El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., saying that El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. disrespected him last week, showing up on the big screen and challenging him to a match. He informs El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. that he will never get his hands on the NXT Championship. And that was that. And after that, Ethan Page got interrupted by Mustafa Ali himself. And Mustafa Ali tells Ethan Page that I have no issues with you. But what I do have an issue with is what you're holding, the North American Championship. A few years ago, I was promised a shot at the title. As a matter of fact, I earned a shot at the title, but I never got my match. Instead, I got a phone call saying that I was fired. But now I'm back and I want my shot back. I want my opportunity back. So he basically challenged Ethan Page to a match at Showdown for the NXT North American Championship, which should be pretty fun, pretty entertaining. And Mustafa Ali looks so different now. His beard has grown out and everything. He looks like a star. So he looks serious. He looks like a threat. So that's pretty cool. But anyhow, after this, Ethan Page went on to tell Mustafa Ali that I don't care what you're talking about right now. That doesn't have anything to do with me. I don't care what your opportunity was. I don't care that you missed it. I don't care about the phone call you got. I don't care that you got fired. You're not getting a shot at this championship. And Mustafa Ali went on to inform Ethan Page that don't even worry about that. As a matter of fact, the match is already set up. Ava already made this match official. And it's going to happen next week at Showdown. And these two men ran a quick fade right after those words were said. Ethan Page lost his mind and Mustafa Ali was like, what you trying to do? And they ran a quick fade after this. And Mustafa Ali ended up standing tall after this fade was ran. And Ethan Page was the one scurrying away back to the locker room area. Anyhow, after this, we got a quick announcement announcing that next week at Showdown as well, we're going to get a TNA versus NXT tag team winner takes all match. And it's going to be the Hardy Boys, Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy versus Dark State, title for title match, winner takes all. So the TNA tag team championships are on the line, as well as the NXT tag team championships. which should be pretty cool. And I'm happy and I'm excited, as a matter of fact, seeing the Hardy Boys back on NXT, back in WWE. But anyhow, though, I'm really excited to hear and see that the Hardy Boys are going to be back in WWE and they're going to be competing on NXT again. Should be pretty fun. Should be pretty entertaining. Anyhow, though, after this, we got our second match of the night, and it was Bourne versus Mr. Negative Aura himself, Josh Briggs. And this match was basically that the winner gets to represent the NXT team, the men's team. So the winner of this match gets to be a part of the men's NXT team, which was a pretty cool idea. I really like the fact that some people had to earn their spots, had to qualify for it. And this match overall, it was a really decent match in my opinion. And Bourne did his thing in the ring. And what I'm finding out about Bourne is that he's a lot more athletic than he's portrayed. He's a lot more athletic than he looks. He's a lot more athletic than he's letting on. Like some of the moves he was pulling out, I'm like, I didn't even know you had that in your inventory. I didn't even know you had that equipped. He was pulling out some cool high flying moves in this match. It was really entertaining in my opinion. And yeah, Josh Briggs was also in this match too. I don't know if I mentioned that, but yeah, that's the most I can say about him. Anyhow, at the end of the match, Josh Briggs tried to cheat using his, I don't even think I could call that a necklace. He used this boat anchor chain that he had wrapped around his neck, that thick chain. He ripped it off, wrapped it around his knuckles, and he tried to attack Bourne with it while the referee was distracted. But luckily enough, Zack Ryder, aka Matt Cardona, was there ringside to stop him. And using that split little distraction, Bourne was able to hit a neckbreaker on Josh Briggs for the win, and he's officially part of the NXT men's team. After this, we got our third match of the night, and it was Vice City, Lola Vice versus Fallon Henley, and the winner becomes part of the women's NXT team. And that was that. So this match, it was pretty quick. Honestly, it wasn't a long match by any means. It was like decent length, not too long and not too short. It was like right in the middle, I want to say, right at the sweet spot. This match was pretty all right while it lasted. Nothing crazy, nothing too memorable. It was all right. Lola Vice looked pretty good in this match, in ring wise, and Fallon Henry did a decent job as well. But this match wasn't anything too crazy or anything too memorable, like I said. But anyways, at the end of the match, Vice City Lola Vice was able to hit a spinning back fist on Fallon Henley for the win, and she is officially part of the women's NXT team. After this, we got our fourth match of the night, and it was our final match of the night. So we didn't get 5 matches as per usual. We only got 4 matches tonight. Our fourth and final match was the young OG, Javon Evans, and TNA's very own Leon Slater, the youngest champion in TNA history, versus the Coling, Sean Spears, and Nico Vince. And this match was probably match of the night in my opinion. This was such a fun match, especially near the middle towards the end of the match. It got so fun, so entertaining. The high flying moves started picking up. Javon Evans was doing his thing. Leon Slater was doing his thing. And let me just say, the team of Javon Evans and Leon Slater was not a team I thought I needed, but Jesus, I'm so happy we got it. This was so entertaining. They clicked in the ring. This is an absolute dream team. If they were on the same brand, this would be probably the best team in wrestling, period. This was so fun, so entertaining. And I'm really gassing them up right now, so don't mind me being goofy and silly. They're probably not the best team in wrestling, period, but it would be up there. These two are entertaining. And like I said, this was an absolute dream team. And I saw Leon Slater pulling out moves I've never even thought of, never even thought existed, never even seen. This man, Leon, pulled out a Swanton 450 splash. I'm like, what even is that? What do you mean Swanton 450? What? It was so entertaining watching this man in the ring. And I thought Javon Evans was talented. This man is like almost like at Javon Evans' talented, athleticism level. I'm like, dude, this was so fun. Anyways, though, both of these stars, they absolutely showed up and showed out, and I enjoyed this match. They made it so fun and so entertaining. But at the end of the match, the young OG and the youngest in charge were able to pick up the win over Nico Vince and Sean Spears. And that was that match, and that was our final match. We finally made it to our main event, and the main event was the TNA and NXT Summit. And this was a crazy scene because it started off with an all-out brawl. All hell broke loose. Jesus! Before this started, everybody just was they were at each other's necks. Like they could not be separated. They were trying to tear each other apart. It was people pushing and shoving, throwing hands, throwing whatever they could find. And they were split up for a little bit. The action died down a little bit. Everybody went to their respective side, out of respect, so we could hear the summit before they started fighting again. Anyways, though, for the split moment that both the men and women in TNA/NXT teams were split up, for the little grace period we got the announcement for the official TNA's men and women's team, as well as the NXT's men and women's team. So the men's NXT team will be Trick Williams, Ricky Saints, Javon Evans, and Bourne, and they will be facing off against TNA's men's team, which will consist of Mike Santana, Frankie Kazarian, Moose, and Leon Slater. And for the women's NXT team, it will be JC Jane, Soruka, Miss Parker, Jada Parker, and Vice City Lola Vice versus TNA's women's team, Kalani Jordan, Jessie McKay, Cassie Lee, aka the Iconics, and Mariah Sade. But anyhow, that will be the official teams for both TNA men's and women and NXT men's and women. So that should be pretty entertaining. That will be pretty entertaining, as a matter of fact. It's gonna be an absolute banger. But after all the teams were officially announced and everything was set in stone, a huge brawl broke out again. And this was absolute chaos this time because nobody tried to split them up. The officials moved out the way. The GMs moved out the way. They just let these men and women go at each other. They let these superstars just start throwing hands and feet at each other. They're like, we're just going to let it happen. We got to make a statement. We got to send a message. And everybody started running fades. Fades were being ran all over the arena, all over the place, in the ring, out of the ring, near the fans. Nobody was safe during this brawl. Nobody could be separated from each other. All hell absolutely broke loose for real, because nobody was trying to split them up or anything. Nobody was trying to separate them, keep anything in charge, anything under control, none of that. And that's how the whole show ended, with NXT and TNA just fighting at each other, clawing, kicking, punching, I don't even know, absolutely brawling. And that's how the show ended. But anyhow, though, that was your whole show, and that's how it ended. And let me just say, next week, this whole NXT versus TNA showdown thing, it's going to be an absolute banger. It's going to be absolutely must see, must watch, must tune in. And I'm so hyped for this TNA versus NXT thing, and I'm so hyped for next week. I can't wait. I know it's going to be so entertaining. I know it's going to be so fun. I'm just waiting for next week. I know it's going to be such a banger of an episode, such a banger of a show. Like, this next episode feels like a PLE. It feels like it should be a PLE. And I'm like, man, I love the vibes we're getting from it. I love the seriousness. I love the competition. It's so fun. It's so fun. But before next week, though, before that show, we got to rate this show. We got to rate this week. So this week overall for NXT, I'd rate it a solid 6.5 out of 10. And I did enjoy all the TNA faces we saw. I enjoyed the segments and the matches that involved TNA talent. It was really entertaining. But however, for the NXT portion itself, we only got 4 matches, and not all of them were as entertaining as they could be. So, I got to be realistic. I got to be honest about that front. And I have to be fair in my rating. So I'm not going to let the TNA and NXT brawls and stuff like that completely blow my ratings out the water. Not every match was as good as it could have been, and we only got 4 tonight. So that was that. And some points need to be taken off for that. But anyhow, though, like I said, I'll rate it a solid 6.5 out of 10. But anyhow, that was my rating and my breakdown of NXT this week. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for hearing me out. And thank you for being here. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. Like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to. And like, comment, and subscribe if you choose to. As always, it's been a pleasure. I'm out.